What is up guys, Solheim here, back with another classic WoW video. So now that Season of Mastery has been out for a little bit, I wanted to make a video on exactly why I like classic WoW so much, and what sets classic WoW apart from any other World of Warcraft expansion, in my opinion, and why it will always be great. A lot of people have asked me why I bother playing Classic WoW again, considering we just left Phase 6 of Classic WoW with TBC Classic's release roughly 6 months ago, and to me the answer to that is quite simple, and that's what I want to talk about in this video. You see, Classic WoW does one thing a lot better than any other version of the game ever has, and quite frankly it's something I've been missing a lot from a lot of current MMO games as well, and that is the feeling of an open world, or basically just a sense of the world itself. Throughout this video I will give a lot of examples of how Classic WoW does this really well, and how it fully utilizes the world of Azeroth, and I will also give some examples of how other expansions, starting already with TBC, does the complete opposite. Before we do that though, it's time to check out today's sponsor. One Military Camp is a strategy simulation management game set in the military world with humorous vibes. In One Military Camp you can build your own military camp from scratch, specialize your soldiers in different areas, and complete special missions to advance your adventure. Your military camp will contain multiple recruits, and it's your job to turn them into real soldiers and get them ready to fight. The goal of the game is to make your military base profitable and win the war. The game is currently under development, but you can add the game to your wishlist on Steam right now. So join our troops and add the game to your wishlist right now through the link in the top of the description and the pinned comment. In Classic WoW, from the moment you start the game, you are met with the feeling of a huge world. Once you get to level 10 and start doing quests, you will notice that you can't fully quest only in one zone. There's a lot of back and forth. This was even noticeable in Season of Mastery with the plus 40% experience buff to questing, so imagine how this was without that buff back in Vanilla and back in OG Classic. For example, if you played Alliance, in the process of going from level 10 to 18, you would most likely visit both Westfall, Darkshore and Loch Modan, while in the current version of the game you only have to pick up one of those zones, and it will give you all of the experience you need to level up. The way Classic does this, where you have to visit multiple zones within the same level bracket, you get to experience more of the world itself, you get to experience more zones, and you get to experience more lore as well, for those of you interested in the lore. Also, by exploring every part of the world, you fully realize how huge the world actually is. This is something you will see a lot throughout the entirety of your leveling journey in Classic WoW, where you will have to travel a lot back and forth, and not only that, but for dungeon quests you will sometimes have to pick up several different quests from various different zones in various continents of Azeroth, and to me this actually makes a lot of sense. You have a troll village in the hinterlands that is connected to Sulfurak, and it makes sense that getting the mallet to Sulfurak would be obtained from that troll village instead of just another troll NPC in Tanares. For the stockades you can pick up dungeon quests from Stormwind, Redridge Mountains, Lakeshire and Wetlands, all of which have a lore story behind them that connect it back to the stockades. On the other hand, if you log on to retail, you will find all of the quests you need for the dungeon, all given to you by a single NPC at the start of the dungeon, at which point the quests themselves no longer have any lore or story attached to them, and they are just there to give you extra experience, nothing else, no adventure, no RPG elements to it, just extra experience to help you level faster. And not just that, but by putting quests out in the open world, and even locking them behind specific quest chains, it makes people actually go out and experience the open world, which makes the game itself feel even more alive, while in retail right now all you have to do is stand in a capital city, queue up for a dungeon, get teleported to the dungeon, and instantly have all of the quests available to you. It literally feels like you are a machine and just chasing the max level, and personally, I enjoy the adventure or the journey to max level a lot more than actually being max level, or at least I enjoy them equally as much, and even if endgame is the goal, I still think there should be a lot more emphasis on the journey itself. The shift from World of Warcraft being an open world MMORPG, or whatever you want to call it, basically having a thriving world experience, to a more instanced and closed-off experience started happening already in the Burning Crusade as the main world itself became a lot smaller, from having probably 30 to 40 different zones in Classic WoW to having only 7 zones in the Burning Crusade. While it puts all of the players in a more condensed space, it gives us a lot less room to work with, and not only is the world itself smaller, but they also added flying mounts and faster flying mounts, allowing you to move across that world even faster, making it seem even smaller than it already was. From here, they kept the trend of adding 6 to 8 zones for every expansion, and every expansion pretty much nullified the zones that were added in the previous expansion, meaning all of that work that they had previously done is now rendered useless, and all of the players are now in the new zones. Another change you would notice from Classic WoW to TBC Classic is that in Classic WoW, a lot more players were actively doing stuff outside in the open world in between their raid days, whether this was world PvP, gathering resources needed to raid, leveling alts, doing professions, or simply just being outside Stormwind and dueling. You always saw a lot of people outside in the open world doing just about everything imaginable, and in TBC Classic this has changed to everyone standing in Chatrath, waiting for either a dungeon, raid or arena, and once they get into a group for what they are looking for, they either fly to the dungeon entrance or the raid entrance, or they get summoned over there. It is basically turned into an instanced MMORPG, and the entire social element outside of instances are pretty much eliminated or close to non-existent. And that is what I love about Classic WoW, and the reason why I went back for Season of Mastery. Quite simply the social element in the open world itself, grouping up with others to do elite quests while leveling, joining a dungeon group, then running around grabbing all of the dungeon quests together as a group, then finishing the dungeon quests as a group, chatting with random players while leveling, teaming up with people in Stranglethorn Vale to avoid getting ganked by an undead rogue, and all of that. It's all amazing. All of these social elements, they really help make the game what it actually is. I can't tell you how many positive interactions I've had already in Season of Mastery, and it's only been out for about a week. The second I hit level 60, I got so many whispers saying congratulations, and things like that are just awesome. The social aspect of a MMORPG is extremely important to me, as it's pretty much the only reason I play MMORPGs. If I didn't want the social aspect, I would play a single-player game. Now, this might sound like I'm being negative towards retail or TBC for lacking that social aspect, but that's not really my intention here. I just think Classic WoW and the expansions after Classic WoW were made for completely different types of players and different playstyles, and personally, I prefer the style of Classic WoW a lot more, but I also understand that some people prefer more instant gameplay without that open world feeling. Either way, that is pretty much it. I just wanted to talk about Classic WoW and why I love it so much, and especially considering the launch of Season of Mastery, I think this is extra relevant, and to be honest, I've been having a blast so far in Season of Mastery. Even if I'm not planning to raid or do anything hardcore in Season of Mastery, I just really enjoy the social aspect of it a lot. So yeah, that's pretty much it guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up, and let me know in the comments down below what level you are so far in Season of Mastery, if you are playing it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again very soon.